Good morning and welcome to day 4 of Finding Ourselves. Finding ourselves and our true purpose in life. In day 1, we looked at how Blaise Pascal, the great mathematician and scientist, discovered his true self after what he described as a night of fire. In day 2, we looked at Hannah and the deep inner life that is true religion. Yesterday, day 3, we considered what Pascal considered a gamble, with so much to be gained and little to lose. Both St. Francis of Assisi and Blaise Pascal would have said that what they were involved with prior to their conversion was in matters that were ultimately frivolous. Their true purpose in life remained hidden in the future. Finding themselves was not dissimilar to the prodigal son's night of pain, whilst caring for his employer's pigs, and fain would have eaten their food. Whether we find ourselves, come to ourselves, whether God finds us, or as some argue, the self is not something one finds, it's something one creates. Discovering or forging the true self is absolutely fundamental. James Michener once wrote that money, position, fame, many loves, and even revenge are all of little consequence if we have never found our true selves. In his estimation, despite great successes, our lives have ultimately been a failure. We have not even come close to reaching our true potential. Much more is a subject that St. Paul takes up in Romans chapter 5. Pascal would have wagered on this. Much more shall we be saved by the death of Christ on the cross from the wrath of God. Much more, now that we are reconciled to God, will we be saved by the life of Christ. Much more, the free gift of grace shall abound for many. Much more, we will reign in life. Finding Christ means a far greater chance of also finding our own true selves. Yet it is not guaranteed. It is something we strive towards. Many fall short, given great talents by God, but never using them to their full potential. They are taken away and given to another. Phrased differently, Shakespeare proclaimed, "To thine own self be true." But who is the true self? St. Paul is unequivocal. Before the true self can emerge, the old self has to die. For him, the old self is mired down in sin. It cannot raise itself up by its bootstrings. The philosophers of this world would vehemently argue otherwise. But for St. Paul, we are slaves to sin, utterly captured, and only the saving grace of God can set us free for the new self to emerge. This, of course, is what baptism is all about, an outward sign of what has happened within. Going down under the water symbolizes the drowning of the old self. Emerging from the water, we are born to a new life. The old has passed away. A dead chrysalis remains behind, and the butterfly emerges to a new life. This is the journey we make to find our true selves. When children come early on in a natural way to Christ, they are often spared this night of pain. For the rest of us, coming to ourselves often means first having to spend time in the pigsty. If we fail to find ourselves, it doesn't matter much, whatever else we find. Or as Matthew Arnold, the great English poet, said, Resolve to be thyself, and know that he who finds himself loses his misery. And so God bless you today. At least one ear open to him as he calls us to do his work in the world. Until tomorrow, Friday, goodbye and God bless.